Andrew, how in the heck are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
You look like you smell terrific.
Wow, thank you.
You smell like a winner.
I realized you were locked out of the man cave there. It's the studio. Were you enjoying the waterfall?
I was enjoying a nice coffee, a book, and the waterfall.
What book were you reading?
I started Outliers.
Malcolm really?
Gladwell.
Malcolm Gladwell. Okay, well,
Yes,
it turns out the more you learn, the more you can earn. And on today's show, we're starting a conversation. We're going to be interviewing a lady by the name of Marisa. Check it out. It's Marisa, M-A-R-I-S-A, Marisa Murgatroyd. And she's going to share how she went from nothing to something, how she started from scratch and built a mid-seven-figure online business. She's going to talk to us about the importance of building your personal brand, how she began to gain traction, how she landed her first 10 customers, and the importance of saying no to grow. Ladies and gentlemen, you are going to love today's show and interview with Marisa Murgatroyd.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, 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 and yes. Thrive Nation, on today's show, today's guest has actually started from scratch and has built a mid-seven-figure online business. Miss Marisa, how are you? And welcome on to the Thrive Time Show.
Thank you. I am awesome.
Hey, I know you've had a lot of success now, but I'd love for you to start off at the very bottom if you can. If you can remember, at the very beginning, the genesis of your career, what was life like growing up for you, and where did you grow up?
We're going to go all the way back there, huh? Yes.
I would love to. I would like. I think your success could seem unapproachable to some people.
Well, absolutely. Well, I grew up in suburban Virginia outside of Washington, D.C. And I will say that becoming an entrepreneur was about as far away from my destiny as it could be for anyone. You know, my dad was a career macroeconomic advisor. My mom was a first-generation immigrant from Thailand. And they wanted me to have a stable career. And my mom still writes to me and says, you know, Marisa, you still have enough money to eat, you know? She doesn't understand what it is that I'm doing.
When did you figure out what you wanted to do professionally, or what problems you wanted to solve? And, you know, I mean, because I think I guess we've had on the show, you know, your Wolfgang Pucks and your John Maxwell, they talk about this calling, or almost like feeling like their vocation is more than just a job. When did you feel like you knew what you wanted to do professionally?
Well, that did not happen, honestly, until my mid-30s. And I can tell you the moment when I realized that I needed to make a shift. Okay. Basically, I'd been working as a documentary film director, and I loved the work, but I didn't always love the job. I was actually a paid filmmaker, which at least is an accomplishment there. But I was there working on editing a film, and my boss, who ran the production company, comes in and basically said, like late in the afternoon, I'd been there for hours, and said, you know, Marisa, can I have your power cable? I forgot mine at home. And I said, well, no, I didn't have my laptop plugged in. I need it if you want me to deliver this film on time, because we had a big deadline that day. And even though there were all these production assistants in the office, she could have asked any of them, and I was the director of the film, she needed my cable in that moment. And she said, Marisa, that computer you're working on right now, I own that computer. And that power cord, I own that too. So give me the power. And what she didn't say is, Marisa, I basically own you too. And even though that escalated to a screaming match, I ultimately gave her the power cable. And in the moment, it felt like I was really giving my personal power away as well. And I feel like I was doing what so many other people were doing in that city of 14 million people, as I was going into a job every day that wasn't the full expression of who I was. But I had no idea what that full expression was. And so I asked myself, what else could I do? Yeah. And I honestly didn't know at the time, because all I knew is that I know how to make things look good and sound good and tell a really freaking good story, but who was going to pay me for that? And honestly, I didn't know at the time that those 3 skills are the basis of all business and marketing. And whereas they didn't have a lot of value when I was a documentary filmmaker making $1,000 a week, in a completely different context, it had a whole lot of value where I can make, $15,000 in a day, if not a lot more. Sometimes I've had $1 million days.
You have started this company, Live Your Message. Can you explain to the listeners what your company does? Because I think a lot of people are starting to narrow in. People who are not familiar with you are starting to kind of understand what you do for a living. But tell us about what Live Your Message does and maybe the services that you offer.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to say that we turn everyday entrepreneurs into online superheroes so they can change the world from their living room. And basically what that means is that whoever you are, if you want to build a business, or even if you're just trying to figure out what it is that you do and what it is you can offer and how to live your message in the world, we help you really tune in to what you're all about and how to message, brand, and position yourself in the market, how to create products and programs and packages to sell your services or products in the world, how to really market yourself online, build your web presence. We basically show you, all of that. And we specialize in online education. So we specialize in helping people build programs designed to get results for their clients and their students, because when you can get results for people, you're going to have a lot more people buying from you over and over again, referring you, telling everyone about you, and your business starts to take off.
How did you raise the capital to start this business that's now taking off and doing so well? Did you have to mow lawns? Did you have to sell a kidney? Did you have to get out a small business loan? I mean, what was your path to funding this business?
To be honest, I funded it with, a couple bucks basically, and it went from there. It does not necessarily take a huge amount of money, especially if you're in the expertise and education space like I am. You don't need a lot to get started. It's really about your clarity, finding mentors, finding support, finding step-by-step systems. It's not like other businesses like brick and mortar or e-commerce or software where you actually need a huge investment of capital to start up. And the interesting thing is Forbes predicts the online education industry is going to be a $325 billion a year industry by the year 2025, and it's already over $200 million. So it's a massive industry, but it takes probably less startup money and capital than any other industry out there.
How did you go about getting your first 10 customers? Did you just walk in and show them demos of your work, or did you cold call? Did you network? How did you get your first 10 customers?
Great question. Well, I actually started out having a branding and web design agency, and I still have that branding and web design agency as well as all of our programs and services. And a lot of times I went to events. I went to business events and I networked and I met people and they became my first clients and I did a great job. So they wanted to refer me to other people. It was basically being out in the world, meeting people, getting out from behind your computer and talking to real live human beings.
Are you saying we should get out from we should move our bodies from behind a computer or a screen and meet actual humans?
Yes, I am.
That's controversial. Now, here's the deal. We have one of our incredible, incredible reoccurring guest on the show here, Mr. Wes Carter. He's an attorney. His law firm represents huge personalities, people in the ministry space. Wes, I know you're going to interrogate our incredible guest here in just a minute, Miss Marisa, in just a second. But before you interrogate her, think about that question, that controversial question you want to ask her. Think long and hard about it. Now, Marisa, he's going to ask you a tough question, but I'll go first here. What kind of things did you say when you went to these networking events? Did you shake hands? Did you tell people you'll shoot a video for half off? Or how did you get the conversation going?
Well, I really teach people how to dial into their message and how to answer that question the first time that they meet someone.
Yeah.
But ideally, you want to speak in a way that they understand that you understand their problems and their challenges and how to solve them. Or you create intrigue by offering a picture of the world and what's possible that maybe excites them and empowers them and gets them curious about what you have to offer. So it's really about that. It's really about understanding who your customers are, how you uniquely serve them, what challenges they have, and speaking to that. Not speaking from what you do, but speaking to what they want.
Do you remember any of the early phrases that you said, or any of the little the language that you said when you were first getting out there, getting your first 10 customers?
Well, I do say, so when people ask me what I do, when I sometimes say I turn entrepreneurs into online superheroes, they actually are like, huh. It intrigues them. What it does is it jams what I call the P-touch inside of their brain. So the P-touch is that little labeling machine that has people stick a label on you that basically says, oh, she's a business coach or she's a website designer or whatever it happens to do. And as soon as they think they know what you're about, there's no more motivation to ask questions. So I like to turn the P-Touch into the Midas touch and really help people get curious about what I do. So I would say things like that, which would just get them curious versus have them think that they already know what I do.
Okay, Wes,
Right?
I'm going to try this out here. Wes Carter's an attorney, and they've represented big personalities like T.D. Jakes, Joyce Meyer, Craig Rochelle, a lot of people in the ministry space. But Wes, you're more than just a legal superstar in the ministry space. You happen to be my attorney, and for that I apologize. What question do you have for Miss Marisa? Oh, have I muted you, my passive-aggressive, Wes? Are you back?
I'm back now.
Oh, well, I'm passive-aggressive. Sorry about that, Wes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So first, hello, Marisa.
Hey there.
Yeah, I'm curious in the creative space. A lot of this, I assume, originally came from your mind. So as you're building and you're scaling this out, how do you protect some time freedom for these other projects or your personal time? Since, that's a kind of an area where it's so personal, the services you're providing.
Good question.
Do you teach other people to do it? Do you hire other rock stars? Do you just work 100 hours a week? How does that look as you grow and scale?
Yeah, well, I talk about the 4 stages of business growth, going from what I call blue sky to call me to list build to authority. And I like to say that before you can make money while you sleep, first you've got to be able to make money while you're awake. So a lot of times I recommend that my students and clients start off by serving people one-to-one, but very quickly, once you start to fill the one-on-one practice, going into one-to-few, small group programs and things like that, and ultimately into one-to-many, where you can have thousands of customers at once. And as you kind of make that progression from blue sky into kind of the list build and authority stages, you also start to build your team. You start to hire on other facilitators, if you're on online education, other coaches, other people to support your vision. I mean, my personal goal was within 3 years from now to be completely irrelevant. Like that means that, let me change that word. It's not irrelevant. I'm still relevant, but that I get to choose when and how I show up and if and how I show up. So if I don't want to show up to something, I have plenty of other people on my team who can show up for me. I'm still exciting. I'm still a draw and all of that, but I don't need to be the front person all the time.
Got it.
So you're a rock star, especially in your marketing for your business. As we flip through the website, your name, your image. Do you ever get clients that say, "Oh, I was hoping Marisa would show up, not so and so"? And how do you handle it? Just kind of for our listeners, how do you handle that? Because otherwise, my experience is in talking to listeners, sometimes we just get overwhelmed and we lose control of our schedule, and all of a sudden we're doing all these engagements we'd rather not do. Have you had to work through that before?
Well, yeah, for example, if it's a private client, someone who wants private time with me, okay, great. Marisa, you can work with Marisa starting at $15,000 a day or $100,000 a year. If that's not in your investment level, then we've got programs where you get to interact and engage with her in a group setting, right?
Yeah,
or we've also
like
trained
that.
a whole bunch of coaches if that's not in your price range either.
That probably gets them on a different path pretty quickly, unless they have that kind of money to spend.
Yeah.
Well, now, when did you realize that liveyourmessage.com, that your brand was going to actually be solvent and sustainable? When did you get that traction where you thought, I can actually go to sleep and not be stressed out? When did that happen?
Well, I still stress sometimes,
Got it.
So, to be 100% honest. But let me see. I think that my original business was called Be Seen Boldly. And, I teach people a lot about really positioning themselves in the market. And that one just didn't get people excited. Almost the very first week I launched Live Your Message back in, I believe it was 2011. People started to respond to me differently almost immediately. It's like the brand itself and the message itself had cachet. And knowing that I had the capability to excite people with what I was saying almost feels like the keys to the kingdom. So everything else from going from, $0 to $175,000 a year, $175,000 to $500,000 to $1 million, $1 million to $2 to $3 to $4, all of that stuff is growth, but it really was cracking that original code. It's what I call the sort of the DNA of what you're all about. And when you've got that DNA, then a lot of the rest of it is strategy and it's marketing. But getting to that core DNA is where I think a lot of people either never take the time to get the clarity, or they're just a bit off in what they're working on.
Where do you call home now? Like where are you at right now?
Yeah, I live in Topanga Canyon, which is just outside of Los Angeles in California. So I live kind of surrounded by nature. I go hiking every single day, and I work primarily from my laptop.
And you, if the listeners out there go to liveyourmessage.com, again, if the listeners go to liveyourmessage.com, you write on the site about weird pricing triggers, that make people buy. I'd love for you to share about maybe one of these triggers or a couple of these weird pricing triggers.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is basically one of the free, gifts that we give to people when they sign up for our work. And a lot of times, when you want to sell more, you've just got to find the right pricing. And part of that is like, what is an entry point price? What's something that's based on where a product is in your particular funnel? So for example, a lot of times, we have about 6 different products that are all under $50 in price points. They might be $7, $17, $27, $37, $47 that give people a very, very easy way to say yes to us. Now, simply having the 7 versus 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 is a very simple pricing trigger. But there's other kinds of pricing triggers. Have you ever heard of spiritual pricing? So for example, a lot of my students are in personal development or in spiritual markets. So a lot of times they'll have numbers like $33 or $11 rather than 17 and 27. And that's indicating these are using numbers, repeating numbers. They become master numbers. And master numbers, when they're repeated, have more significance and meaning on the numerology of that number. So that's an example. Now, I don't use spiritual pricing because we are much more hard and fast as a business company, but a lot of our students do. And that kind of signals to your audience who you are and what you care about. So that's an example of a couple pricing triggers, but it goes all the way up to your highest ticket programs, whether you have a $20,000 or a $30,000 program, $100,000 programs. Understanding the pricing at each stage in your customer journey is super key. And also understanding, okay, now that you've got a product at this price point, what's the next price point you should consider? How do you ascend people from becoming, one-time low-ticket buyers to investing in some of your most premium offers?
You come across as a very proactive person. You know a lot about pricing. You know a lot about branding. You've obviously invested time to be proactive. What does your typical day look like? I mean, kind of walk us through those first 4 hours of power, when you really get waking up and you're popping it up and you're just getting excited and you're ready to go. What does the first 4 hours of your day look like?
Yeah. Well, I start by hiking. For me and my husband do a 40-minute hike up a hill and a kind of little mountain in the canyons every single day, and then eat a good breakfast. And then usually in the morning before noon, I have block time to either write, think, or work on the highest priority item in my business. And then from 1 o'clock to about 5 o'clock, 5 or 6, I do calls. A lot of them are team calls. A lot of them are webinars. A lot of them are podcasts. A lot of them might be sessions for existing students, clients, and customers. These are all the different kinds of things that I might be doing in the afternoon. I take an hour off to meditate somewhere in there. So kind of as long as I have my morning to work on the things that I think are important, I'm willing to do whatever it takes in the afternoon because I'm a creator. And when you understand your kind of archetype as an entrepreneur and you understand what feeds you and where your greatest gifts are, and you can focus on giving that to yourself, a lot of times it helps some of the things that maybe are not as fun or as comfortable for you to happen. Like for me, being on team calls hours a day with my team, even though I love my team, sometimes that's not as exciting to me as sitting down and crafting something brand new out of the ether. Make sense?
Yeah. I'm asking this because you're helping us kind of craft this visual of your schedule in our minds here out of the ether. What time are you waking up every day, typically?
I usually wake up between 6 and 7 a.m. I don't set an alarm, so I just wake up naturally.
Get out of here. You don't set an alarm, you just wake up naturally?
I do.
Really? Now, does your husband wake up naturally, or is he an alarm guy?
He wakes up naturally too, but usually after me.
Okay. And now, do you have any kids or cats?
No kids, no cats, but about to get a dog.
What kind of dog?
Well, it's got to be hypoallergenic. I want it to be I'm thinking of a Malshi, which is half Maltese and half Shih Tzu, because it's half and half. I'm half white, half Asian, so it kind of like
Oh, wow.
makes me feel comfortable to have
Okay.
a mutt as a dog. And it's got to be little too, because I'm little too. I'm 4'11" and a quarter. So
Well, yeah, I'm half white and pasty male, as Wes can attest here. So I'm thinking about getting a ghost as a pet, Wes. They're like a
I'd
white
guess
pillow.
half Viking, half Danish.
Yeah, it's I repel sunlight, and I burn just by looking. If I go outside, I immediately burn my skin. Now, I want to ask you, because you've had huge success. Usually when you have huge success, you find somebody who's had great mentors. What's a mentor that's made the biggest impact on your life?
Oh, there's definitely a progression. So, when I first got started, I was studying from a lot of the internet marketing greats, whether it's Brennan Burchard and Jeff Walker, and taking Eben Pagan and taking all their programs. And it's funny because, many of the people that I originally studied with are now my friends or my joint venture partners. So sometimes, like, when you study from people, you don't know who you're going to become, and you might end up becoming their friends later on, which is great. And when I went into private coaching, when I had my coach Bill Barron helped me a lot. I have a lot of personal development coaches now, to be honest. And I'm working with someone right now, Mitch Russo, who is the CEO for the Tony Robbins Company, and he's helping us build our sales teams and scale that side of our business. So I'm always working with someone, and I'm in a mastermind called Plat Plus with 50 of the top marketers on the planet. It's got all kinds of awesome people in there, Stu McLaren and Ryan Levesque, and I don't read Tracy, the founder of Hay House, or the CEO of Hay House. I don't know if you know any of these people, but I just like to surround myself with some of the smartest men and women in the room and learn from them on a regular basis. So at least 5, 6, 7, 8 times a year, I'm out and about learning still.
Wes, I have 2 final questions for Marisa. I'll go with question 1, then you can go with the next one, then we'll come back to me. Here.
Sounds
So
like
I
a
can
plan.
one up you
Sounds
here.
like a
So,
plan.
Marisa, you're a person who's got so much going on, and when we interview big people like yourself, I say big, successful. You're a small person, but it's a very successful person. When we interview super successful people, we find that a lot of you have idiosyncrasies. Things where like Steve Jobs wore the same thing every day. President Obama and his wife vowed to meet no new people on their first campaign trail for president, for the presidency of the United States. There's always these idiosyncrasies. There's kind of. Do you have an idiosyncrasy that maybe to you is like a superpower?
I have so many idiosyncrasies, I think. I mean, when I look at my creative time is what I guard, like my life depends on it. So really, someone was talking to me about it, and I talk about getting into creative flow. And oftentimes being in creative flow for 3 to 4 hours a day. And so I don't, go out late. If I'm not sleeping by 11 o'clock, I'm not as productive the next day. So I try to kind of start turning in by 9 or 10. I don't drink any alcohol. I don't do anything that's going to actually reduce my mental capacity the very next day. So I'm kind of religious about that, because when I do that, the very next day I can wake up and be in such incredible creative flow.
Yeah.
And that's some of the most magical moments in my life are just what happens when I close the door and what I can create just alone by myself.
Do you like Star Wars?
Who doesn't?
Okay, so there we go. I was trending towards, I bet you like Star Wars. I like Star Wars. I'm glad we share in that moment. Wes, I think I'm asking all the tough questions over here. I'm going to pass it over for you for one of your, mail it in questions.
So I'm curious, you give probably advise a lot of people, it sounds like, whether it's one-on-one, these groups, the one-to-manys that you're talking about. Is there one piece of advice that you give people that you find they either don't follow very well or they push back on? That,
here it comes.
Kind of that one piece is, if you just do this even though you don't want to, it would make such a huge difference.
Yeah, it's kind of what I was saying a little bit earlier about before you can make money while you sleep. First, you've got to be able to make money while you're awake, and actually following the stages of business growth. And the blue sky stage is where I recommend one-on-one sales, one-on-one marketing, and one-on-one kind of offers. And a lot of people want to skip to having these huge membership sites that have thousands of people and making all kinds of passive income.
Yeah.
But if you can't sell one person, what makes you think you're going to be able to sell 1,000, right?
Yeah.
And
preach
that's
that.
it's going to allow you to iterate your way to awesome and really kind of fine tune your message, your offers, your audience, have a much better understanding of all that before you invest a lot of time and money and technology and marketing firepower on something that people may not want.
That's great. I mean, so it's basically prove your concept, prove you can do it before you scale it up where you're going to have that huge investment.
Marisa,
Yeah.
you are blowing my mind. You just knowledge bombs everywhere. It just, Wes, I almost feel nauseous. It's so sick.
I almost feel guilty for not knowing Marisa before today.
It's impressive. I mean, Marisa, for the listeners out there that would like to learn more about you, or what final tip would you give to our listeners, and maybe where can they learn more about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the final tip is one of my favorite quotes of all time, and it's by the late, great motivational speaker Zig Ziglar. And he said that you can have anything you want in life, actually everything you want in life, if you'll just help enough other people get what they want. And I feel like so many people make business about themselves. And even though business is an expression of who you are and your gifts in the world, you got to make it about your clients and being of service. And when you do, the world will unfold for you, as well as knowing how to get people results. And what I really specialize in is getting people results. All right. So that's kind of my focus in helping you get results for your students, clients, and customers. So I've actually put together a guide called my Viral Product Checklist, which are 10 core principles that you want to embed in any kind of product, service, or offer. If you want people to get so excited and engaged with who you are and what you do that they want to consume everything, get to the end, do the work, refer you, and buy your next product. So I put that up for you at liveyourmessage.com/thrive.
Ooh.
And, you can sign up for that and get started.
There's a lot of debate out there on the internet. Can you share with listeners the proper way to pronounce your last name?
There's more debate about my first name than my last name, believe it or not. So my first name is Marisa. A lot of people mispronounce it and say Marissa. So I say it's like Teresa.
I was on
with
that team.
M.
I was on the mispronunciation team. You've corrected me. You've healed me.
I did, but the last name is actually phonetic. It's Murgatroyd. And I will tell you a funny story is when I was in college, someone called me up and say, hi, I'm calling for Miss Marisa Murgatroyd. That's Murgatroyd. Now, we're having a reinsurgence of Transformers, and we're thinking of calling one the Murgatroyd, and we're calling every Murgatroyd in the country to see if that's okay with you. And I thought I was being punked, but the voice was so good that it was too good to be a punk.
Get out of here.
So it's like a fancy, Transformer robot kind of name.
Well, Marisa, thank you so much for being on the show and helping to, I know, undoubtedly impact our listeners and maybe help transform a life or two. And I appreciate you making all this information available. And I just hope you have an incredible rest of your day.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I look forward to meeting more of you over at liveyourmessage.com/thrive.
And now, without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom! Stop what you're doing and think about this for a second. What would happen if your company was suddenly able to generate exponentially more quality sales leads? That would be incredible. What would happen if your company came up at the top or near the top of the Google search engine results? Well, I would just feel overwhelmed with all that business. How many thousands of dollars in lost sales or millions of dollars in lost sales are you missing out on simply because your potential customers can't find you when they go online to search for the products and services that you offer? I refuse to think that thought because I don't want any more business. Unless you are a dirty communist that hates money, my new book, Search Engine Domination, will help you grow your business. In my new book, Search Engine Domination, we will teach you the specific steps that you need to take to dominate the search engine results. What do you mean by dominate? You see, in my new book, Search Engine Domination, we will teach you the specific steps that you need to take to dominate search engine results. Download your free ebook copy today at thebestseobook.com. I repeat, that's thebestseobook.com.
My name is Amy Baltimore, and I am a CPA in Covington, Tennessee. I've been working with the Thrive team now for about a year. One of the first things that they did was to update my website and my search engine optimization. I prior had a website, but I was not being found on Google, and all of my new business was coming through referrals from friends, family, etc. And right away I started to see results. People were calling and coming in saying that they found me on Google. They just Googled CPA near me, and there I was at the top of the page. And so it's been a great help to my business.
Again, you can download your free ebook copy today at thebestseobook.com.
Hey, this is Dustin Huff. I'm with Keystone Harbor Marina. We joined Thrive back in January and have been working with these guys for about 7 months. During that time period, we have moved up our Google rank through reviews and SEO processes that we've compiled through these guys. Our leads have gone from about 4 a week to now 165 a week. So the process works. I will tell you from experience, once you begin, you have to stay with it. As long as you continually do this week in and week out, month in and month out, you'll continually grow.
The system works, but nothing works unless you do. You've got to take some action. Download the ebook for free today at thebestseobook.com.
Hello, my name is Daniel with Daniel's Heating and Air here in Amarillo, Texas. The way Google has affected my business, we have got a lot of calls from Google. Right now it's July and we've had the best month ever. And it took us about 8 to 10 months to get on top of Google, and I'm glad we did.
Remember, nothing works unless you do. You have to go to thebestseobook.com today. Download the ebook for free. Just download that ebook for free, and you'll be off to the races.
Hi, my name is Christina Nemus. I'm the owner and operator of Angel's Touch Auto Body and Detailing in Bourne, Massachusetts. We have been working with Thrive and their coaching for, say, 8 to 9 months, and it took us about 6 months, 5 to 6 months to get on the top of Google, and with their help with the website and marketing, and the SEO and retargeting ads with Google, and it has been phenomenal. We just have light and day business coming in, phone calls coming in, walk-ins, referrals. It's just through the roof, and we couldn't be happier. At the moment, we are up 50% this year from the previous year, and not only is that part of our own hard work and diligence, but also with the help of Thrive and what they've done for us and getting us on the top of Google and, you know, all their knowledge and coaching. And yeah, so super grateful, super pumped to see what the future holds for all of us. Thank you.
This is your year to thrive. Success you will find. Today is your day, and now is your time.
Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. Proverbs 10:4. I'm here to tell you, you can do it if you can just motivate yourself. 12 the masses had to cut off a few, so on the daily you and I could rendezvous. A misshapen tree that I had to prune. I had to make cuts to be here daily at noon. So like a tidal wave of knowledge monsoon, I could rain on the parades of those who doubt in you. Are you the next Rockefeller or the next guru, or the next Dr. King who's changing the rules? Walls are in your way, will you run right through? Like a running back, forth the one, it's up to you. I remember my days back in the dorm room, tuned to the gloom like the temple of doom, overwhelmed with the doubts that try to consume my hope for the future that I could pursue. But from the mountaintop now I can conclude that you have what it takes if you want the view to.
This is your year to thrive. Success you will find. Today is your day, and now is your time. It's your year to thrive. Success you will find. Today is your day, and now is your time.
This moment is profound cause you're above the ground. Your road might have been rough, but what you got now is now. We're here to pick you up and to even show you how, but you gotta be resourceful with that old plow. Started from the bottom, but I worked my way up, cause by 4 a.m. I've always been prayed up. Rise and grind as your time, don't dare let up. You gotta get it, don't quit it till your seeds grow up.
This is your year to thrive.
Come on.
Success you will find.
Yes.
Today is your day.
Somebody say,
and now is your time.
It's your time.
It's your year to thrive.
Come on.
Success you will find. Today is your day, And now is your time.
It's your time.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
all have a wish and we all want to win, but we cannot begin without self-discipline. If you fall on your face, get yourself up again. Attach yourself to goals, not fail with the friends. When the storms get rough and they scatter and leave, you only be there with yourself and what you believe. We believe in you, but not as much as God does. If you're going through hell, he's got nothing but love. Apply what you learn, increase what you earn, and in due time
You
you
got
have money to burn.
Apply what you learn, increase what you earn, and in due time you got money to burn.
Sing it.
Apply what you learn, increase what you earn, in due time you got money to burn.
Sing it.
Apply what you learn,
Sing it.
increase what you earn.
Yes.
In due time you got money to
With this
burn.
miracle,
Yeah.
I look to shout down the doubters. Kill the weeds that be killing your dream flowers. Empower you to devour all the obstacles that make your sweet dreams sour. As for me, I used to stutter, but now I'm on the microphone smooth like butter. If I can do it, I know you can too, but you must stick to it like postage do. And while Merton's on the chorus, singing what he sings, I encourage you to dream big dreams.
Today is your day.
Today's your day.
And now is your time.
It's your time.
This is your year to thrive.
Sing it, sing it.
Success you will find. Today is your day.
It's your day.
And now is your time.
It's your time.
Today is your day.
Come on.
And now is your time.
Sing it, Martin.
Today is your day. Now is your time.
I realize I can't sing like that, but I can talk and play the woodblock. Okay. If you guys need me, I'll just be over here.